I'm gonna go,
I'm
let
gonna go
me
out with a
go
With
bang.
a bang.
doing something that fulfills me. And,
Yes.
and that's exactly how I felt. Of like, I just want to leave a legacy. People
Yeah.
will be able to, of course, feel what I did, but also be able to literally go back and play that commercial like, oh, wow,
Yeah.
that's Kesha. So.
Hello and welcome to the Bold Black Girls podcast. I'm Aries.
And I am Kim.
What up, doe?
What's up?
This is
Last day of January.
I know. By the time people see this, we will uh
Already in the new month.
be in Black History Month and we will be in Love Month. Um I feel like it's super, I don't know, and I haven't done my research, but like in this country, because this is all I, focus on is most of my days. We have so many like themed holidays and months. Like every month is something, right? It's like St. Patrick's
Yes.
Day and then
St.
Father's Day,
Patrick's
Mother's Day.
Day, right? Easter.
Yeah, like all these things. But I'm trying to, now that I'm homeschooling the boys, like incorporate kind of like, and we're gonna have Jania on here as our Bold Black Girl of the Month. If she listens to this episode, she gonna find out. But she incorporates history,
History.
African American history into history. Like it is
I
history.
love
It's
it.
a part of the actual. If you just tell the stories, you will know the stuff, right? I feel like we all were taught like a specific type of history that now we got to supplement by let's talk about Black people, what they did. Well, if we just actually tell the story, we'll
The whole
learn all
story.
the story. Yeah, we'll learn all the pieces. And so I'm trying to do that like with the boys. And it's as we talk about different things that come up with history, it's like, okay, so let's talk about what actually happened. So I'm looking forward to that. I think it is
I
good to kind
am.
of focus, in the month, even though we get 28 days. We got 28 days to get it in.
Yeah, because last year was the leap year, right? So we had 29.
Yeah.
Last year was a leap year. That's right.
Yes. Yes. So we get an
So
extra
we get shorted this year. We don't have our
get our regular
29. Yeah.
exactly. So yeah.
But
Anywho,
I always follow the theme of Black History 365 days
I am Black history. Come on, somebody.
because you cannot put our history in 28 days.
You cannot. And speaking of that, we had a death this week of an icon, a legend,
A
Cecily
long
Tyson. Miss
standing
Tyson.
icon.
Yeah, she is history. Like she's literally had a 7-decade career. I mean, she's
96 years old. She lived a
yes,
long, well, just that life. 96 years. 96
yes.
years old. She was still acting.
And she was still freaking looking like she was not no 96 years old. Every time I see her, I be like, "You are how?" And she was like really. If you look at her pictures, like I was going back, like looking for some pictures and stuff to post on our Instagram,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, she was like she was a little baddie. Like she was
She
really
was.
used to be a model, which I didn't know that at first. She used to be a fashion model. So if you see her, you might see her with some purple hair. You might see her with her lipstick, her like she just was doing it
She
like
was
all the time.
just gorgeous inside and not just outside, but like on the inside too. Some
Yeah.
people are just superficial, right? She was so genuine. You could
And
just tell. She
yeah,
radiated that.
And she represented that to us, you know, on screen, off screen, and all that. I was looking
She
up
really
some of
did.
her just accolades. I'm like, dang, this lady was really doing it. Like she had so many like iconic roles when she was Miss Jane Pittman and all these other like I was looking, I said, dang, she was in the movies with Harry Belafonte.
Right?
Yeah. Um that's one old person or elder that I had a little crush on. I was like, Harry
What?
Belafonte. Stop playing. But anyway, but yeah, she definitely, you know, represented that. I think Tyler Perry did a good job of really honoring her and bringing her, you know, kind of
He really
back up
did.
into the, you know, I think he named one of the studios after her at his you know, he when he did Tyler Perry Studios, he was naming different lots for iconic character, you know, people
Right.
in Black history, not just Black history, but current. And I believe one of them was Cecily Tyson. I know that Barack Obama honored her with an award back when he was president. Just all these things. So, I mean, I feel
She
like we
was
celebrate
just
her.
really,
It's
yes.
not, you know, you can't like get sad per se. You know, she lived a very long, great life. If I can live that long and be that fabulous all the way until the
And
end.
she was in her right mind, right?
Yeah,
And I don't even know what she died from, but she
right.
was, from my understanding, she was still healthy.
Hmm. She might just been like, all right, y'all, I
It's my
done everything
time.
I need to do.
Yeah.
That's how I want to be. I'm
Well
like, let me
done,
just,
good and faithful servant,
yes,
right?
come on, hallelujah. Yeah. That's what that's how I want it to be. I'm like, look, I'm just gonna be like, all right, y'all. Y'all can have the
She
rest of
was so
this.
like, she's like Amazing Grace. That's what
Yes.
I think of when I think of her. Amazing
Yes.
Grace.
So we honor her.
Meanwhile, while we over here on this Busted challenge, let's get the
Oh
Cecily
Lord.
Tyson challenge going.
Okay, exactly. Exactly. And the silhouette challenges and all this just extraness. I'm like, okay, y'all. That's cute, but all right. Bust a book open. Bust a book open challenge.
Is you reading? No.
Or not.
I like that one. Well, I like that one. Is you reading? Bust it. Bust it.
Exactly. So we just want to honor a bold Black girl in Cecily Tyson as we keep moving. And you know what? This actually kind of ties into the story I wanted to talk about, which is they've been talking about it for the last couple of weeks. We just kind of we weren't here last week. We had pre-recorded. We didn't get to talk about the inauguration, which can I just say, because I just needed to say
Yeah.
this, and I don't know if I said it. I don't think I did because we
Get my
didn't
tea
have this.
ready.
Honey, Mrs. Michelle Obama, baby. She outshined everybody at that inauguration, y'all.
mean,
The hair was as soon as I saw, I'm like screaming. My kids are like, "What?" I'm like, "Do you see her? She is banging. The hair is banging. The outfit is banging." She came in there. They was looking like Black royalty out there. I was like, "Yes, ma'am."
So classy.
I mean, she just
she
walked
wasn't
in like
I own this.
I am.
And it wasn't like she was trying to take any shine from anyone.
Mm-mm.
It's just who she is.
Just, I mean, what can you do about this? I'm sorry. I still am not over her. Every time somebody posts a nude, you know, picture of her or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, she's amazing. I just had to put that out there. But shout out to Kamala. You know, all of them looked really cute in there. I saw how they tried to coordinate with the monochrome all one color. Everybody had all one color on. If you peeped that, Jill Biden, she was looking cute with her little sheer with her little matching mask or whatever on, and then Kamala had her all one color with the like purplish kind of color on.
Royalty.
Kids, I was like, I see y'all. What you trying to do with the
Did you see? I don't know who it was. I think it was her niece's husband. He had on Air Force Ones, or he had on some type of. Was one of her nieces.
Who?
Her niece's husband.
Or her sister's husband.
I don't think that was her sister. No, that her sister is around her. Yeah, I have to send it to you. But there was some controversy about him wearing like Nikes.
Why?
Right.
Why?
Of all things, why we gonna focus on that?
Like
exactly.
Stop, okay. But I heard that Michelle's stylist, like, or I don't know if it was the hair or the stylist, like their Instagram, their followers blew up like over
What?
a few hours. Like when people found out who her people were, I'm like, now that's how you let them know
I
what you
love
do out
it.
here. Because that hair, I'm
Exactly.
sorry, I was like, it was snowing out there when she was just looking amazing. I just had to give her that because I just, yes, that was like you represented all day. So that was that. I didn't. That wasn't what I was about to say, but I had to get that out because I was like, wait, we haven't talked. But back to Cecily Tyson, what she represented, her being a fashion model, her being a black woman in that industry, especially during that time. There was a lot of controversy because, like I said, with the Harry Belafonte thing, you know, this is with the Dorothy Dandridge, the Diane Carroll, like all these like lighter, fair skinned black women who were getting a lot of those roles early on. And for her to come in and just like be herself, you know, and represent all shades really at that point, it's like that wasn't common back then. And so there
Right.
were some conversations happening over the last few weeks with what is her name, Danny Lee, Danny
Dan
Lay,
Dan
Danny Lay,
Yeah.
which I had never heard of this lady until they was like, oh, this is the baby's girlfriend or whatever. I'm like, oh, okay, I mean, whatever. um I never paid any, not even 2 cents. I mean, like I had no
She's
attention
on a
towards the
like
person.
I think I know her because, I like to dance and so music. I want to
But
say
what music?
I feel like she's been on
I've never heard her sing
with
anything.
Chris Brown. I think I'm gonna look it up. I think
Oh,
he's
okay. I might
one.
not have known who she was or something like
There
that.
are definitely some songs that I'm aware of who she is. I didn't know that she was the girlfriend of the baby. So it
Oh,
was
okay.
funny when you was like the baby. I'm like, who baby? Who's baby?
Who's baby? But anyway, so long story short, she did like she put some song out that was called Yellowbone. It was trash, by the way, but she said she was just playing around with it. I'm like, okay, because it was not worth being put out anywhere, in my opinion. But it basically a yellowbone is what he wants. And I was like, first of all, yellowbone, is that even a term? I know red bone is usually a light-skinned black woman. That is what they call a light-skinned black woman. Um, but Yellowbone, I don't know. And she's not black. So it was kind of like some controversy, especially on Twitter, about like, wait, hold on, how you gonna be like we colorism in the black community is already a thing
Is
outside of
very
the black
bad.
community, and then inside the black
Yes.
community, we have our own issues. And so once you're getting to a point where like, okay, so you're saying, you know, maybe, hey, preference, I'm not mad at your preferences. You can like whatever you want, but it did come off tone deaf, kind of insensitive, where you're not even black, like using terminology that would be
Well,
could be offensive, you know, and all that. So there's been different sides. People are like, well, what about brown skin girl, and what about this and that? And it's like, but you're not black. So like, what are we
and
trying to do here?
I can just even remember in school, different shades being teased for different things like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
she's so dark or she's cute for a dark girl. So we
Mm-hmm.
have our own struggles within our own community or within our own race, which is
Yes.
sad. And on the Twitter feed, Black Twitter will come for you.
Oh yes.
And
Because
so
okay,
one
wait. So wait, let me get to the so when she got confronted with it by Black Twitter, she first doubled down twice. Like, y'all don't know me. I'm not that, and blah, 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 blah. She tried to come back, you know, and being like, people don't know how I am, and I'm not this way, blah, blah, and y'all just hating, and, you know, things like that. And so it was like,
right.
oh, okay, for real. And then I guess somebody got into her ear, and she had a video apology of her saying, um, I don't see color. I have a black man. I got a whole bunch of black friends. I never seen my skin as a privilege. So
And I
like
don't see color.
all the typical things that somebody who was confronted with something like, not saying that she's racist, but like you clearly aren't aware, like because you present yourself as a black woman. She got the braids, she's doing the things, but you have never claimed being black a day in your life until like now you're kind of presenting more as a black one, you know, with the braids and the look and all this stuff. You're not black. So
And so, I followed that on Twitter, and someone said she hit, I don't see color. I'm dating a black man and I have black friends all in one sentence,
Yeah.
which kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier, the importance of knowing history.
Yes.
This is why not just us,
Mm-mm.
others as well need to know and understand so that they know this that's not a comment that you make,
I
right?
don't see color is really the most offensive thing that somebody can say. I mean, to me, when I hear that, I'm like,
So you don't see me?
you see color. Stop it. You're not colorblind. Even if you're colorblind, you know I'm not white. It's a shade of gray, a little darker shade of gray
We're
up here in
all
front of you.
different colors and shades, right? So if you don't see color, then you don't see me.
Yeah, and that's a problem. I need you to see me. See me. And I'll tell you guys, like my family is Creole, so I could tell you about some colorism issues. I mean, just the way I
Yeah.
was raised, like my great, woo, Lord, this is a family where, back in the day, they would, some people would marry people who were their cousins because they want to keep the skin tone light. There was a
Yeah.
saying, the closer the kin, the lighter the skin. That's a saying that's like, if not like your first cousin or second cousin, maybe your third cousin. But
Oh
seriously, this is
no.
this is the paper bag rule, all these different things like that, where people would my mom, for instance, my mom is one of 7 kids. She's the darkest one in that bunch. Her nickname in the family within an extended family, all that, is Black. Her name is Black. Hey, Black, how you doing? Like that. I mean, things where her mom would not let her wear certain colors because she didn't like, you too dark to be wearing that. I mean, it was a stigma. Her going to school, people saying your mama left you in the oven too long, like things like that, where these are real things that people come up. And to this day, you will not catch Janet with no red lipstick on. You will not catch her with no red fingernail polish. You won't catch her wearing red. Like, she don't wear certain colors. Just, it's still in her head. And these are things that really, if you don't know this, you're not gonna understand why it's not
Yeah.
cool to do certain things. And it's like, that's why you got to learn.
You have to learn. You have to educate yourself. Both blacks and non-blacks, right? We
Yes.
need to do that collectively as a whole and understand that colorism is real.
I taught my kids when they were little because I knew we were in a predominantly white area. And Marvin is a little chocolate, I'm saying, little chocolate drop. So I was like, look, what you not about to be is tripping off of your color. So when
Right.
when they were really little, I got ahead of it. And I was kind of like, sometimes people
Good.
might treat you different because you have this beautiful brown chocolate skin. They wish they had that. So just, I make
I'm
them
glad you
feel
did that.
proud of it, right? So they'll be comparing, now they'll be going, I'm darker than you. Nuh-uh, I'm darker than you, and they be loving to say they darker than me. Especially now, because I'm like, I didn't turn light skin over the winter because
Wait, I know because we're not in
I
the
ain't got no.
sun. We're not doing anything. Like I'm over here, shade not too far from Michael.
Exactly. I was like, I always have 2 foundations that I use, but like I've been on the lighter one for way longer now because I ain't got no sun.
It's real.
But I'm serious. Like, that's the stuff that I'm like, I want you to be proud of your skin. I want you to be, I counteract that stuff in my family, and that's how we got to do it. You got to hit it while you're inside of your home. Each person in their own home, when
Right.
you acting light skin, or just all the different things that we could say that it seems like they're not that big of a deal, but they could become one. And
Oh,
so,
it is definitely.
yeah,
And
so I
we'll
want
definitely get more into that. I would love to get into that with Jania. So
that.
I'm looking forward to having her on the podcast because I'm sure we're going to touch on that, and it might be a part one or part two, depending on how deep we get.
Exactly. So I want to get into our guest for today. I'm gonna quickly cover her bio. I'm excited, y'all, because
I am too,
I
because
really,
this is perfect as we kick off the new month, Black History Month, right? And we aspire to amplify Black voices.
yes,
And so you are on a journey yourself of
yes,
taking some courses to expand your skill set and kind of look into doing something new.
yes,
And
yes.
you're taking voiceover classes.
Voiceover classes, yes, and it is so different than what I originally thought it was, but it is more. Like I'm like, oh my God, I really could have a career in this, Um, so I've been getting coaching every week. It's been great. It's really, you're getting coaching on how to be an actor with your voice. It's super amazing. So I joined some groups and clubs and things like that. And on Clubhouse, there's some voice actor groups and clubs. So I've been in there, and this is how I met Kesha Monk. Okay. So I'm going to read you a little bit of her bio real quick, and like you will start understanding a little bit more about what voiceover artists and actors, kind of what they do when we get into the interview. But Kesha Monk, she's been wowing people with her voice for over 25 years. Kesha's professional career began as a radio personality in Raleigh, North Carolina. Her talent took her to many cities across the country, including major markets such as New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, and Boston. She was the co-host of a syndicated countdown show with Randy Jackson of American Idol. The show ran for 5 years and aired in 50 U.S. cities and internationally in Japan and Kenya. After 20 years in radio, her career path shifted, and she's going to get into that with why and how she got into voice art. But listen to some of her. She's recorded projects for global brands such as McDonald's, DreamWorks, Busch Gardens, SeaWorld, Coca-Cola, Chick-fil-A, Dunkin' Donuts, and more. She's narrated a children's book and has been a signature voice for a host of corporate and industrial videos. Kesha recently entered her third season as a continuity voice for POV, a weekly documentary series that airs on PBS. She's also the live announcer for the Soul Train Awards, which airs on BET. So I'm like super excited. I met her on Clubhouse. We connected. She said yes to come on the podcast. So without further ado, we welcome Kesha Monk.
Kesha Monk.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the podcast, Kesha Monk.
Yes, welcome, Kesha. We're so happy to have you. This is something totally new for me, and I'm excited to talk about this.
Well, yes, I feel like I'm fangirling at this point because I've been
yes, she is.
The podcast.
You?
Yes. So the podcast does not know that I have been, since the end of December, I started taking some one-on-one coaching for voiceover as a voiceover artist.
All right.
And so at that same time, I hadn't started my training yet when I saw a room on Clubhouse with it was basically all about you. It was Rick was just saying like, oh, I'm gonna have Kesha Monk. I had never heard her name. I didn't know anything about really a lot of voiceover artists at all. Like I'm literally just my toe just got in the water. Right?
Yeah.
And so then when I came in and I started listening to you talk about your story and everything, and I was like, oh my God, like we need her on the podcast.
She sure did.
Y'all,
as you were talking,
you so much for inviting me. This is really an honor. It truly is.
Yes. So we want to get into, because probably I think a lot of people, I know I didn't at first, just how much voiceover is in our life every day, especially with technology, commercials, any digital content that you see where there's just like videos flashing or pictures flashing and you hear someone talking over it. Like that is someone who is doing voiceover work, audiobooks, all these different things. So I want to get into really how you got started in this. And I know you have a background from like radio and all these different things. So just give us a little overview of kind of how you got into this, because you're doing this full time now. So
absolutely. And it's such a blessing, y'all. Like you said, I do have a radio background, and probably I started doing radio before y'all was born, because y'all look really young and really useful.
We just look young, girl.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're not that young, girl. I got prescriptions.
So yeah, I after college I started grinding. I really wanted to be on the radio. I was a musician before that. Like I went to the High School of Music and Art in New York. And I got all this musical stuff flowing through my veins. My mama sang gospel. My daddy sang professional gospel. My great uncle was Thelonious Monk, the great pianist, the jazz pianist.
Wow.
And so music is running all through my veins. And so once I graduated high school, I'm like, yeah, I'll teach music, which really sounds boring at this point to me, for me and my personality. And
Right.
so that's what I thought. So I went to school, and junior year, I said, you know what? I really like the way this radio station looks. The college that I went to, Shaw University in Raleigh, North Carolina, they had an on-campus radio station. And I was like, I got it. Since I like to talk so much and I love music, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Why don't I just combine my two loves for talking and music and turn it into a career? And that's how I got into radio initially. And I had a really awesome career. I worked in New York and Los Angeles and Chicago and Boston. And I even had a syndicated countdown show with American Idol's Randy Jackson that aired nationally and internationally. And I was just doing my thing. And then in 2011, I was diagnosed with cancer, right? Don't look like that. I said,
Okay.
don't look, smile.
Okay.
It was all good. You know, I was really, really sick. I did come, to the conclusion that I was going to die. But if I was going to die, then I might as well go out doing what I love. And so I was sickly, and I was on the computer, saw this contest about an agency giving away $100,000 voiceover contracts. Y'all are funny.
Went back like
Y'all are funny.
100,000.
Right, and that wasn't even playing.
Right.
Where the money resides.
Right.
Exactly. And so, at the time that I saw that, I ain't have no job, ain't have no medical benefits, and my body is like riddled with cancer. Like I couldn't even walk. Really, I was using a walker at the time, and so, as a part of the contest, you're supposed to record like their little script and you submit it. And I kept advancing to the next round because it was a contest. And so finally, they got down to the top 10 finalists, and they fly me into Virginia Beach, and it's just fancy schmancy, girl. They got on tuxedos, and yeah, it was a big deal. They put me up in this really nice hotel. And again, your job basically is to read the script in front of the judges as a part of the contest. And if you got picked, then you would win.
Well, did they give you the script ahead of time, or was it like, we're going to give you a script right now? And then
I got it on my walker. I walked into the room, I sat down, and they handed me an envelope. And I opened up the envelope and took out the script. And the script, I got to be dramatic with it, right? The script was about cancer. It was like something like, hi, I'm Susie. I'm a 5-time breast cancer survivor, and I wouldn't make it today unless I had my care at Duke Cancer Center, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I read it, and that was my reality. So of course I was crying, and all the judges are crying, and they don't know why. I mean, I'm just really, really into this script. And so, I walk out, I'm like, yeah, I know I got this contract. Turns out I didn't win. But on my way out the door, the owner of the company said, Kesha, we really liked your reads. We would love to offer you a contract anyway. It wasn't the $100,000 contract. But that was my official introduction to the world of voiceover.
But still,
exactly.
Like that,
you didn't win, but you actually did win.
Sometimes
it was like
you gotta
God
lose in order to win.
Come on,
and that's
somebody.
Exactly what happened.
It's like God said, now I'm going to give you something that I know you're going to kill it. You're going to be able to kill this because you were able to emotionally connect to it.
He put you there too, right? Because if you hadn't been there and gone that far, you wouldn't have gotten that.
Yes.
Exactly. And that was my official introduction into voiceover. And I must say that even though I had put in like 20 years in radio, and I had, you do your radio show, and then once you get off the air, they, hand you, commercial copy to read, tags and things of that nature. And so really, I thought I knew what voiceover was, but I didn't really know, and we'll get into it, I'm sure, what voiceover really was. It's so much more than just reading commercials. But yeah, I got thrown into it that way, and I received on-the-job training from that moment.
That's what I was going to ask. Okay, like, did you go do the coaching, or were they willing to work with you? Because I'm assuming this is an agency, or what? Okay.
It was an agency.
So,
and no, they didn't offer any coaching. They didn't ask me. They didn't like give me an official interview. Like, have you done this before? They just kind of threw me in it. And I, at that moment, I really didn't know. I was totally clueless. I just thought I got the job. Just start reading commercials. And I, once I did discover that most voiceover artists should, it is highly recommended that you receive coaching. I couldn't afford it because I didn't have no job. I was still going to chemo every other, actually every week, doing like 4 grueling days of chemotherapy. And so, I signed that contract thinking in the back of my mind, I really don't know how I'm going to fulfill this. I don't know if they call me and I'll be able to do it, if I'm going to be sick but I am just the type of person to kind of like jump into a pool, and I really may not know how to swim. As long as it's not too deep, I'll go ahead and take that chance. You know what I'm saying? If it's 4 feet, I'll go ahead and jump in without a life jacket, and I'll figure it out. As long as, I'm kind of close to the edge.
You sound like me.
Gotta do it.
And I'm just going to jump in and I'll catch on.
Life is too short.
It really, well, and I want to go back. So Oprah once said that like her conduct in school, she was very talkative, and she ended up having this talk show and many other things. As a child, were you talkative in school?
I was very talkative in school. And it's funny, somebody has approached me with an opportunity to do kind of like a mini docuseries or whatever. And so it has caused me to reflect. I don't even think I've really been conscious of how much I was just enthused by the power of voice. And so I started looking through pictures, girl. First of all, I found my like elementary school yearbook, and I was given the title Best Actress, which is hilarious. This is 6th grade, right?
That's why I was asking, because your gifts are starting young.
Yes.
And you don't realize it.
So I was dramatic as a kid. And then I also found another recently, this is no joke, a picture of me and my grandmother. And I'm sitting there with this big tape recorder. And so, I just started to think like, I've been playing around with this voice thing for a minute. I also remember this time I was doing a book report in like 7th grade, and I didn't follow directions. I wanted to do an audio book report. And so I did. My mom still talks about it like, dang, I wish we could find that tape. I did a book report of just full with sound effects. I remember using keys, like, keys were jingling, and I used to put my hands into my dad's shoes and, create sound effects, walk, you know what I'm saying? I remember doing, of course I failed because I didn't follow directions.
Follow the directions.
But I'm a creative. I couldn't care less. I was like, I don't care. I was very satisfied with the product. So it is what it is.
What's your zodiac sign?
I know, right?
I'm a Scorpio.
Okay. I was like,
she sounds like an Aries.
I'm leaning in. I'm like,
are you my soul sister, girl? I was telling Kim, I was like, I'm thinking, when we start the podcast, I was like, this is perfect for me. I'm dramatic, as well. When I was little, me and my sister used to act like we had a talk show.
Yes.
And so we would record. I wish I could find the tapes too, because I'll be like, and on the show, I was the host.
Of course.
And on the show today, we have this, and we would do commercials. We was like, and we're going to break for a commercial, do the break, the whole 9,
that was your humble beginning. I can see why you sit there with a microphone and your headphones, like it all makes sense, right?
Exactly. So this, voiceover for me, I didn't know that's what it was called. I don't know none of that. I didn't. But I'll tell you that what made me actually pull the trigger last year was this voice that I heard. I listened to a meditation app every day, and a new voice came over the app probably 6 months ago, and it was a black man's voice. I knew it was a black man's voice, and I was like, I was like, every time
she sent it to me.
I told her, I was like, every time he would come on, I would heart it because you could heart each of the, different ones. So I was like, that voice is it, right? And so they just in the last month or two started saying their names. And so then I had the opportunity to look him up, and all that. So I looked him up and I saw that he went to this particular place to get coaching. And that's
what was his name?
James Seawood.
Okay. All right.
And so, but I looked it up and that's how I found out where, I was like, well, I'm gonna go look over here. This is the only place I know that, I've seen that has the coaching and stuff like that.
Right.
So let's talk about when you went, because you said you were in radio, all this, and you were going for this contest. Like, how did you find out about it? Like, what was your influence to make you want to submit for this? Like, how did you even know this was a thing?
I just saw the word voice, and I'm like, what I'm saying? It said voiceover, but I focused on the word voice. And I'm like, oh, well, I have a voice, and people have told me that I have a nice voice. So let me go on over there and do some voice over. And really, and then, another part of it was I just felt that, to be frank, it was an opportunity for me to work at home. So if I had to puke my brains out, with the chemo and stuff, I could do that and then go right back into my little coat closet and record my stuff. And so that's what I did. I guess I was being creative because I really thought I was going to die. And I figured if I'm going to go out, I'm serious. And it's really weird when you're faced with your own mortality. I just didn't want to lay down and die and feel, if I'm going to go, let me go
with a bang,
doing something that fulfills me.
Yes.
And that's exactly how I felt. I'm like, I just want to leave a legacy. People will be able to, of course, feel what I did, but also be able to literally go back and play that commercial like, oh, wow, that's Kesha. So that was my train of thought. It was a little weird, but I'm just being honest.
But we're reading a book called 1 Month to Live at our church as a collective. And that's basically the concept of the book, is to think as if, not morbidly, but like, if you did, you don't know what you got. You might have, we don't know what we have, right? But making every day count, right? And making sure that you are taking the risks, because they talk about how if you, the things that people regret most in life are things they didn't do, not the things that they did do.
Yes.
And so that's, I'm right there with you.
You get it? You get it, right? Yeah.
Yes,
I got to write that down. What's the name of it?
It's called 1 Month to Live.
I'm going to get that.
Yes.
I'm going to get that. So tell me, because I didn't know much about voiceover. Can you tell our listeners exactly kind of what it is? Because, I know Aries kind of went into it, but I know you've been working in the industry. Can you share, like, how do you explain that to people when they ask you, hey, what do you do?
The voice of an unseen narrator, announcer, as in television or radio. So, yeah, it's a little bit more than that, though. Because in order to be a successful voiceover artist, because quite honestly, because of, the pandemic, people are really trying to find unique ways to make money from home. And a lot of people think that it's just as easy as just getting a microphone and a computer and, pressing play. And that ain't it,
at all.
Voiceover is the ability to bring words to life. And there is a process in that. For instance, when we get off of here, I'm gonna audition to do Clorox, a national Clorox commercial. And it helps that I'm familiar with Clorox and I know what the brand is, and believe it or not, those things are very important. You got to understand what you're talking about. I want to be able to sell that Clorox to whoever is listening on the other side of the television. So, it sounds really crazy and dramatic.
No, it doesn't.
But I want to make sure that the next time you go to Walmart or Target, that you gonna get your Clorox, because the way Kesha made that Clorox sounded,
you gonna get up and go get it.
I don't want to deal with any other brands. Clorox is the brand. It sounds really dramatic, but that's how I attack every single piece of copy. So it's just not with commercials. But obviously with like animation and character reads, you got to slip into whatever that character is. I got to make you believe me no matter what I do.
It's
Meditation,
acting. It's
It
acting with your
is.
it's
voice.
acting. It's total acting. Um, and again, voiceover touches us in so many different ways, just not radio and television, but you have medical narration, you have regular narration, you have promos on television. Coming up next at 8 p.m. is that's voiceover. um
Right.
you
Exactly. I heard you on BET.
you did.
So I went and listened to your demo because I love Sir and Wale. So I clearly remember your voice because I was like, oh, I don't want to leave because I don't want to miss Sir and Wale. So I was watching the BET Awards, but I saw your demo. I was like, I remember that voice.
I really appreciate that.
Yes.
And how it could go in so many different ways. Like if you go and anybody who's listening, go listen to her demos. How all those different ways, it just shows you right there when you listen to those, that your voice can move around and sound so different in different.
It's about versatility.
Scenarios.
You can't be a one-trick pony. If you want to be impactful, you have to be able to go up, go down, be sad, be serious, be funny, be joking, be natural. It's acting. And that's why it's super important to get training because some people are just born with it, but LeBron James, I'm sure he gets coaching and he's the best at his game. So it's super important to always, if you really want to hone this craft, to get coaching. Yeah.
Can you talk about the industry? Because one thing I heard you all talking about on Clubhouse was like a lot of the Black voiceover actors have a community, right? Mm-hmm. And I know if we're talking like Black Hollywood, and in Hollywood and acting and all that, like there's an industry, right? That the reason why a lot of times you have those little communities is because they support each other in different ways. And we're in IT, so we know there's like a 7% of us, there. Right. So we have to support each other. There's adversities. There's things that we face, being Black and being the only one in the room sometimes and all that. So how does that come into play when it comes to voiceover, actors and artists? Because our voices are unique, and there are people who maybe say, I'm looking for a Black person's voice. Right. And what if it's not a Black person that gets that role, right? Like, or certain we saw that with the George Floyd murder. A lot of things started coming out where there were voices of cartoons that were not Black, that were Black cartoons or Black things that they had a white actor playing. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So, it's, and I think things like that, the adversity, and especially with all of the racial unrest that happened in the country over the past, couple of months, it has actually made this community closer. You know what I mean? And, my mentality, and I can't necessarily speak for them, but I think that we all know and acknowledge that there is enough work for everyone. And so, if I see a unique opportunity to audition for something, I'll audition for it, but I'll also share it with them, because if you win, we all win.
Exactly.
And I really, you know what I mean? And I think that is the mentality of a lot of the African-American voiceover. Like, I don't know, what don't break us makes us stronger. And that is also an amazing thing to experience while we're, because it's very competitive. And so it's like a built-in staff of cheerleaders, if you will. It's like, and the women, I've always tried to unite women. That's why I love y'all podcast.
Oh, thank you.
You know what I'm saying? I love, anything that's got to do with women's empowerment. I love that. Yes. And so of course I love my whole family, but I love my Black women more.
Yes.
So to speak.
We need the love.
Right. I mean, because, it's hard enough being Black, but it's super hard being a Black woman. And so, it really is a beautiful, beautiful thing to be a part of. And especially when, and I'll tell you this, there a couple of months ago, we all discovered that there was this white woman who has been masquerading as a African American voice talent. I mean, she actually created an entire persona, presenting herself as an yeah, girl, yeah, an African American voice talent. White is, I love my Caucasian brothers and sisters, but you look at her and you can tell she's totally not Black. And so
Right.
when you went to this like sub website that she described herself as bitchy and ghetto and urban, and it was really, really appalling. I mean, because as you all know, not just in voiceover, but just in the world in general, we just don't have the same opportunities. So for this woman and she was booking work. That's the ill part. And so, and again, things like that have happened all the time, just like you're acknowledging the fact that in cartoons sometimes, and some of these major cartoons, and by the way, these voice actors make millions of dollars a year to voice these cartoons and stuff.
All I know is like Cree Summers, like she just did lock that down.
She
with
really
so
has.
many different ones.
Yeah. Get into her resume, child. She
exactly.
is totally, I love her. But yeah, adversity exists literally in every pocket, in every facet of life, including voiceover, even though you wouldn't think it would exist because it's just our voice. But we Black people, Black sisters, we do have a certain spice, to the way we speak, and we do have a certain vernacular. So it is appalling and humiliating to have someone masquerade as an African American talent. But I do believe that a lot of global brands, a lot of agencies, a lot of clients, they are acknowledging that. So with that, I've noticed a shift a little bit with regards to giving us equal footing at the voiceover table, so to speak. So, I mean, it's there, but
I was actually going to ask you that. Have you seen an increase in work, especially, with them saying, oh, we're going to amplify Black voices, right? Are you seeing that?
And yes, and more yes. And
let me hurry up and get done with this training.
Absolutely. It's a wonderful thing. And I'm looking at the clock like, Black History Month about to roll.
Right.
Wait a minute. I'm about to give me some money
for your ancestors. I love it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. They are. My experience has been that I have noticed an increase in, I guess, the sensitivity with regards to being African American in voiceover. It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing.
So what are some things you would tell people that may be interested in getting into this, that if you were starting from scratch today, what you know now, being in this industry for as long as you have, we heard your unique take on how you got into it. But if you were starting like how I am right now, right from scratch, like what would be some of the advice that you would give,
well, first of all, you really have to understand what voiceover is. Again, I said it a couple of minutes ago, but I'll say it again. Microphone and a laptop does not make a voiceover artist. Right. You have to understand from the jump that voiceover is only 10% talent, 10% voice, and 80% hustle. You have to be able to get ready to roll up your sleeves and go to work, educate yourself, get coaching, hone your skills, identify exactly what do you want to do, because there are many, many genres, right? You got commercials, but then you also have medical narration and corporate narration and promo and live announce and, animation, video games. There are so many different genres that you have to figure out what it is you really want to do, and find a mentor. Like, when you heard me in Clubhouse a couple of weeks ago, I made sure that I made people understand that I am accessible, because I want to make an impact. I want to be successful, but I really want to make an impact more than anything else. And the way that I receive my blessing is to share my gifts with people.
Amen.
And it's technically not a gift unless you're willing to give it away.
Mm-hmm.
And so being a voiceover artist ain't no secret. You know, you really just have to understand what this is all about, and then be willing to put the time and the effort into being trained properly, and then getting on your grind, because the work ain't gonna come to you. It's not gonna come to the door. Hey, I'm here.
Right.
No,
You have to go get
you
it.
have to go get it. Every time I do an audition, it's a mental thing for me. I'm like, I know I'm not the only one auditioning for this job. So within the first 3 seconds of that audition, I have to make an impact, because they don't have time to listen to all of the, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a visual thing for me. So with that being said, once you do get your coaching and your training and you're in, realize that you have to do all you can do to stand out, if that makes sense. You have to be different, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, that's a whole nother podcast, but
right.
You know, but, you know, if I could, you know, wrap it up, I guess, in so many words with regards to encouraging people, new people, to get into voiceover, that's what I would say.
I
love this, because I was just telling Aries, like, she has 2 young boys. I have a daughter.
Okay.
A lot of times you see people having influence on Instagram. Well, I would rather be behind the scenes where you don't even see my picture.
There you go.
So this is an opportunity for those people who don't want to highlight themselves on social media. If you have that type of voice and you're willing to go get it, then here's a possible career opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because I too had that same mentality. The truth be told, you know, I got teased a lot when I was a kid. You know, I always went to predominantly white schools, and so they used to call me names, you know, darky, blacky. You know, I had horrible self-esteem growing up. And so when I wandered into that radio station in my junior year, I was like, this is perfect. I don't have to be seen. You know what I'm saying? Like, I purposely went after a career where I did not have to be in the spotlight. I sure did. And
can still make an impact with your voice.
Exactly.
Like, I love that.
Absolutely.
It's not about, you know, having makeup on every day on screen. You know, it's like, I could do this.
Now, there's no vanity. My first commercial was recorded in my drawers. It sure was. Yes. Because I needed to record in a quiet space, right? So I had a little coat closet, but wasn't no AC in there. It was hot. So I put my computer on the outside. Girl, I put my computer on the outside of the door because it was hot. I didn't want the fan to go off, because, you know, the microphone will pick up everything. And my bra and my panties, I did that first commercial right in that coat closet.
You have overcome some adversity, right? And you have grit. Yeah. So I do have one last question.
Yes, ma'am.
Your voice is very important, right? So how do you take care of your voice?
That's a good question.
Yeah, it's a good question. By not overexerting it. My voice is my gift. It's my tool. And I'm very cognizant of how I take care of it. So even though I be mad, I don't really yell a lot. You know what I'm saying? I always have to, even though I want to, you know, I make sure that I hydrate. I got to get my water in every single day. When I cough, I mean, these are little tips. When I cough, I don't clear my throat like normal people do. I'm very gentle with it. I make sure that I go to the doctor, my ENT and my the throat girl.
Yes.
To just make sure, for instance, with the political season, I was working so much. I was working day in, day out. I mean, constantly. I thought I was losing my voice, and it was really, really scary. And so I got a vocal doctor just to make sure that everything is good. I also recently insured my voice. They have voice insurance. And just in case, God forbid, if anything were to happen.
It's like a short-term disability or long-term disability.
How I say it again?
I said it's like when you're taking out short-term or long-term disability.
Absolutely. Totally necessary. Well, just put it like this. If you know that you had a job where your vehicle was a primary tool for you to get back and forth to work, you wouldn't go out, in the 30-degree heat and turn that joint on up without warming and hit the street without warming it up, right? Got to make sure you warm up your voice. You have to make sure that you drink lots of tea, things that are coating and soothing, like honey, and stay away from the caffeine. It's like a long list of things that I do, because this is, I can't imagine losing my voice. And that's another thing. When I was diagnosed with cancer, cancer kept coming back. Girl, I just went through so much. I had a surgery. They took out half my thyroid because I had thyroid cancer too, on top of colon cancer. And girl, they started digging around by where my vocal cords were.
Like, don't go by there.
You child, And so I'm very cognizant of how to take care of my tool. And it's a process, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
I'm so glad we've been able to talk to you. I mean, trust me, you said you're accessible. I got your email. I got everything.
Yes,
now. I'm
ma'am.
about to be reaching out because this is it's so interesting. The more I learn, the more it just gets more and more interesting to me. So I'm super appreciative that you were able to share this with our audience, because this is new for our audience. I think we wanted to do something different, like let's bring something different. We talk about IT all the time. We talk about all the things, so this is just something unique that I don't think people even realize is there. So now they can start paying attention when they hear certain commercials and hear these voices or different things that their audiobooks. I'm gonna tell you, there was this one audiobook I literally returned the book because I couldn't get with the voice that was on the audiobook.
That is a turn. Seriously. That can be a turn off. Yeah.
And so I started paying attention to who's reading the books, and stuff like that. So it's so many places that this touches. And so I'm just super glad that you were able to come and share with our audience. There are bold Black girls in voiceover, y'all.
Exactly. And Kesha is one.
Yes. And thank you. And I didn't even think about her last name is Monk. Girl, you didn't tell. You got history in your family
a monk.
And all that.
Yeah, girl.
Yes.
I'm a monk. I'm really, really blessed. But even if there are people who are listening to the cast who aren't necessarily interested in voiceover, I just I would just advise anybody, if you find something interesting and you could possibly make money off of it, go for it. Life is just so short. My perspective on life is just so different, being that I had to deal with all of that sickness.
Yeah.
Life is too short, y'all. Fill that void. And don't wait for this stuff to come to you. You'll be waiting all your life. Go for it. Whatever it is.
The risk.
Definitely do what you got to do and go for it.
And that's the call to action.
Yes, that's the call to action today. Where can people find you if they just want to check you out? What's your handles and all the things?
Okay, so I think I like Instagram. No, I like Clubhouse. Y'all need to get on Clubhouse.
Yeah,
I don't follow you. I'm on Clubhouse, but not like I probably.
Well, you don't be on hardly nothing.
It's an audio app. You better get with it. You know what I'm saying?
I told her, so we need to be doing something every week up in there. But
absolutely. So I'm just Kesha Monk everywhere. Kesha Monk on Twitter. Kesha Monk on Instagram. I have a separate voiceover because I like
keeping things separate.
I got to keep stuff separate because I'm kind of ratchet over there. You know what I'm saying? I like the voiceover on the second page, but it's Kesha Monk, KeshaMonk, or Kesha Monk VO. Just Google it. I'm everywhere.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, this was so fun and informative.
Yes. And I'm going to be in touch too, girl.
Okay. Anytime. I'm here for you. You too, Missy. You better, Come on.
I don't know about my voice. I'm gonna listen to her first. I'm gonna let her go.
Send me out there first.
Yeah, I'm gonna push her out in the water.
Right.
That's all good.
Thank you so much. And I'll be in touch for sure. Okay. Have a good rest of your day.
You too.